we have a video by Brett Cooper about Russell Brand, who's apparently seen the optically advantageous nature of becoming a Christian, possibly, maybe, might be genuine. Don't want to throw shade, but he does feel like he's gotten into it at a very convenient time. So I guess maybe we'll throw a little bit of shade. So, Russell Brand stepped with a 16-year-old. 100% legal, but entirely creepy. / possibly immoral. That's a whole, I don't know, it just feels like the whole notion is it's best, perhaps, especially, to treat, like, I'm not making a value judgment here, but people under a certain age are basically a different form of life to some extent. On some level, there's the whole thing that they might not be able to drive. They might not be able to start a court case if they are in an abusive relationship. It's just best left until they're fully formed. At least especially if you are beyond that standard deviation. Beyond the pale, I don't know. Anyways, let's watch this.
In Europe and in the United Kingdom where I'm from, the age of consent is 16, and I did sleep with a 16.
Man bun. Kill him. Sorry. Not really.
Year old when I was 30. But when I was 30, I was a very different person.
So I'm sure that you guys saw that clip last week from Megyn Kelly's podcast.
Technically, again, it could be true. Still a little bit weird, but
Asked her interview with Russell Brand after essentially every...
Again, like, I guess this is... maybe I'd made a video on this, but I think I deleted it because it's a whole creepy topic. But the notion would be that if you're looking at a person from across a crowded room, right? If you're looking at a woman, there's no distinction in that scenario between female adult versus biologically mature female. Like someone who looks adult enough to have the biological markers versus someone who actually is an adult. Like those are the same instinctive drive at that point in time. It's just a physical recognition of biological factors. But beyond that, if you actually know the person, you have to wonder, like, what is the psychological dynamic there? Because it feels like it cannot be that of, like, an equal and happy relationship. So it's got to be more like, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but it feels like it's more along the lines of virginity, corruption, of that mentorship student role. Like a perversion of that, like where you're teaching them things, and like everything about that is just kind of again, like on a species level, if you're just looking at the person and you don't know them at all, the instinctive drive between attractive woman versus attractive woman adult, same thing. Those are the same instinctive drives. There's no way to discern between them, like just with regards to looks themselves. But if it becomes a thing where you know the person and there is a psychological dynamic there, and you I guess you could pose a hypothetical. If you there's a reason why I deleted this video. But if you have a scenario in which a man unknowingly has sex with an underage individual versus a scenario in which a man has sex with what he believes, like an adult that actually is telling him that she's underage. Like, which of those is actually more morally reprehensible? You'd have a hard time kind of discerning there, because, like, generally speaking, the notion would be that if the guy doesn't know she's underage, well, then on his part, it's just a matter of negligence. It's not a matter of, like, a moral shortcoming per se. Maybe he should check the people he's having sex with more thoroughly, but it's not like he likes kids. Versus a scenario in which he's actually objectively having sex with an adult, but he thinks, like, that's kind of creepy as far as his conscience and moral fiber are concerned. It's weird kind of glitch. Yeah. Anyways, enough dribbling.
Single account on X clipped it and reposted it. Every media outlet from Hollywood to politics was talking about it. It was a huge deal. That clip was then immediately...
Well, there's a part of me too, like, with regards to Russell Brand and perhaps a whole genre of people online these days, you can't act like like turning religious isn't like a viable content strategy, if that makes sense. I think it was actually Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate's brother, who would actually, he says he's been offered money, literally like money to convert to Islam. Like it's a whole thing, like the religious industrial complex or whatever, where they probably want famous people to convert to their religion. It looks good for them optically. So yeah, apparently that's a thing.
Immediately followed by the meme of the century when Russell Brand was on Piers Morgan's show and was struggling to find Bible verses. After telling...
Well, I guess I don't want to throw shade on like the people. Like, I think a lot of people want to believe in the redemptive power of their own religion. Like, they want to believe that people can get better, which I do. But I also think there's a very great opportunity for exploitation there, and a lot of people can perhaps take advantage of that. If that makes sense.
Piers, how important those Bible verses were to him. Now, all of this is happening on...
Sorry, I keep interrupting her. I'm not sorry, I'm supposed to, right? But have you ever known a Christian who just literally takes a Bible with them everywhere? I don't think I really do. Like, I don't even take my Bible to Sunday stuff because I always forget it places. I have the memory and focus of a hummingbird on a steady diet of nothing but Red Bull and meth. But I don't really take my Bible places. I think especially I would not take like a full-size Bible. Maybe you would have a little pocket Bible with you or something. The whole, like, on Piers Morgan's show, Russell Brand just pulls out like a full-size Bible. And it feels like the most performative thing ever. Like, maybe there are other people who do that. Yeah. King James for life, for the record. You know, like all good Christians. Anyone else? You know, you're a little bit... That's a joke, for the record. Dang it. I'm saying for the record again too much. I'm gonna watch that. All right.
Line while Russell is out on a press tour promoting his new book about becoming a Christian, while simultaneously gearing up for trial where he is being charged with rape. Some people online see him as this redemptive inspiration. They see these accusations,
Which all of a sudden the BBC is noticing after he worked there for years, just pointing that out.
Against him as some sort of political shakedown, and others are calling him a grifter, saying that he is just using his faith, his Christianity, as a very convenient shield. Let's get into it. Now, before we do, I want to thank you guys so much for being here.
It just feels like there's no end to the grace these types of people are willing to show perverts, if those perverts are, you know, on the right side of history. I don't know. The second it becomes like, yeah, it's a mug's game. I think that's the right phrase. A dog's world. Or shark's world.
Thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing, all of the things. If you want to stay up to date on everything that we're doing on the channel, make sure to subscribe and, of course, ring that notification.
Bakshish, Hawaji bakshish. That might be racially insensitive, but...
Bell. All right.
Now, yeah, I guess to be fair, I can't say I wouldn't want people to subscribe, but, yeah. Anyways, stupid.
So, to refresh all of our memories...
Sorry, just pointing out, what the hell is this? Someone's name, like terrorist, obviously that's what, like, or is this a J? Terrorist.
Memories, because to be fair, it's been 3 years since this took place. It's been 3 years since I talked about it on the old channel. Back in 2023, in September of 2023, the Times of London published an expose on Russell Brand, where 4 women came forward accusing him of rape, sexual assault, and mental and physical abuse.
Again, it just feels like they have this stuff loaded and in the chamber, and they're just waiting for the right moment to do this, which feels like the most, like, I'm not saying it's worse than the crime itself, but it's kind of right up there. If your whole mentality is that when something really terrible has happened, what can I get out of this, and when can I use it against this person? It's just like, dude. Like, why? Why did you wait?
Now, to jog our memories...
It does feel like that's kind of how the whole news/content mill works, to some extent.
These were the accusations that were released at that time. One woman alleged that Brand raped her against a wall in his Los Angeles home. She was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day, according to medical records. Text messages show that in the hours after leaving his house, she told Brand that she had been scared by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, "When a girl says no, it means no." Brand replied, saying that he was very sorry. A second woman, and this is what he was talking about in his interview with Megyn Kelly, alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was 31, and she was 16 and still in school. She said he referred to her as the child during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship that lasted for about...
See, somehow I would have gotten the idea that she was actually like 14 or something. So somehow I think I thought that the age of consent in England at that time would have actually been 14, but no, maybe it was 16.
3 months, and that Brand once forced his penis down her throat, making her choke. She says she tried to push him off and said that she had to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. A third woman claims that he sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles and that he threatened to take legal action if she told anybody else about her allegation. A fourth described being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. Like, guys, I don't even know what's happening. It feels like on the show it is just a daily occurrence, so we are having to just hear about this foul, sexual, deviant behavior, so I'm sorry for that. I was not built for this. Anyway, after that article came out in 2023, this was Russell's response. And understandably, due to the political climate and what he was talking about on his show, he pointed to cancel culture and media hit pieces.
Yeah.
Take a listen.
These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very
His hand language is kind of weird.
promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that
I like the word metastasize, but I still don't know to what extent I'm buying this.
absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen
Makes my question, is there another agenda at play?
in coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't.
Yes, those two are exactly the same thing. You have a guy who takes a medicine versus a guy who's being accused of, effectively pedophilia or some crap like that. Not pedophilia, technically. Again, technically legal, completely creepy, but technically legal. He's being accused of rape, pretty much.
Approve of, and we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same
I believe that boys and girls is called webbing.
language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or
Like, in theory, what he says could be entirely correct. It still doesn't mean that he's not. I think she says that at the end of this. Like, it still doesn't mean that this isn't true. I'm not sure if it's Brett. I think it was Brett that was saying this.
at least it feels to me like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices.
Now, an important thing to note about the story, which I did talk about in 2023, is that the majority of Russell's accusers admitted that they chose to speak up years later, like 20 years later in 2023, because he was gaining popularity as a political conspiracy theorist. Because he had this new career, he was no longer in comedy and the movies, he was in political conspiracy theorist media. And like I said, at the time when I did my first initial episode on this, like, the entire thing, because of that, just felt fishy. And I was not the only one who thought this, because these accusers only spoke up after they were approached by journalists who were seeking a story. And it was all coordinated with a documentary that was prepped and ready for release around the same time as that article came out. Now, at the time, the world was very obviously split on the issue of Russell Brand, but people, especially on the right, were willing to stand behind him, especially if they believed this to be a political shakedown, and regardless of whether they actually believed him or not.
And, we'll still see what the courts find out, I suppose. But, yeah, I don't think the accusations can be discounted out of hand.
They were disgusted with how YouTube immediately kicked him off, immediately demonetized him, and that the UK Parliament literally got involved when it was just accusations. It had not even been investigated by the police yet, and yet the UK Parliament...
And that's something to be said, too. Like, the notion of an online lynching before a court case has ever been held it's kind of gone out, hopefully. Like, it's not a good idea, put it that way. It's not a good idea to just say, oh, this guy has been accused of something, therefore we will treat him the same as someone who's actually been convicted of something by the courts. And maybe that's an appeal to authority, but like the whole notion of like an online lynching is not, in my mind, the best of solutions.
That got involved, they were sending letters to Rumble.
Especially in scenarios where there is like an actual court case. Like I can imagine a scenario in which if I thought a guy couldn't be caught and there was no other way to do it, and this had to be information that was going to get out there to be a part, at the very least, of a larger pattern if he's accused again, I would kind of maybe want to, regardless of what the court cases do, regardless of what it would mean with regards to slander or something like that, like, let the cards fall as they may, I gotta tell my story. I could imagine that. But it feels like in this case there is being legal action taken. So, like, leave it to the courts. Let them get all the information under one roof and, evaluate it as best they can.
Saying you need to take him off your platform. Again, it smelled fishy. It just smelled like coordination, and I said that at the time. Like, I will be the first to say that I think Russell Brand is a weird dude. He has a very openly torrid past, but I do believe that he has since tried to redeem himself, turn his life around, and he has done a lot of good in the political landscape and helping people wake up to what is actually going on.
A lot of good in the political landscape. Yeah, a lot of good in the political landscape. That's kind of the operative phrase here, I guess. I think that's why a lot of people kind of maybe are unwilling to divorce themselves from him. I don't know.
In the world. Now, all of that being said, even though I do feel that way, it does not mean that these accusations necessarily are false, because even though they were not brought up for more than...
Go, Brad. You got this, girl.
In 20 years, even though they were only really brought to light after journalists approached them, the BBC, where Russell Brand was working at the time that these alleged incidents took place, has now admitted years later that they did receive complaints during his time working there, and they chose to ignore them.
If you know anything about the BBC, I'm pretty sure they had issues with pedophiles. Like, literally, it's almost formulaic at this point that they had like a lot of issues. Formulaic, stereotypical, textbook. Cliche, that's the word. It's cliche at this point that they had a lot of weird people doing weird crap. So it's, yeah, I am, tens of people are shocked at this news.
Which apparently they found in their own internal investigation. Listen to this. Thursday's report found that only one formal complaint was made about Brand's inappropriate conduct in the workplace during his stint on air, and that beyond that there was no evidence that his behavior was raised with management formally at the time. But the BBC acknowledged that Brand was perceived to be too influential for staff to complain about. Many of those interviewed for the internal investigation believed, rightfully...
It's one of those situations where, like, if a person can't say no, and they are aware that they can't say no, it's not like some sort of Frankfurt case or some crap, then their yes means very little. So it's yeah, but I don't know.
Wrongly, the Russell Brand would always get his way, and therefore they stayed silent, the report said. They also believe that he had the support of the BBC station management. After this 2023 article came out, all these accusations, then the local police, after that, then they launched their own investigations. And then after 18 months of a formal investigation into him by the police, he was charged last April 2025 with 3 counts of rape, 3 counts of sexual assault, and 1 count of indecent assault. And he is scheduled to stand trial this year in October. Jumping forward to where we are right now, why he is going viral today, some will say very conveniently, he is coming out with a new book, How to Become a Christian in 7 Days, which, by the way, is the first book coming out of Tucker Carlson's new publishing imprint, his new publishing house for politically incorrect voices. It is the first book coming out of that, and so Russell is on a press tour. And some people are not so thrilled about this book. Like this person said, in summary, How to Become a Christian, and then they added a new subtitle, Before Your Criminal Trial.
Again, yeah.
We'll say the timing is suspect. Anyway, moving on from that, but this is why he has been doing interviews with people like Megyn Kelly and Tucker himself and Piers Morgan. And the Piers Morgan interview objectively is the most viral because of how absurd it truly was. Like, comedy-wise, this might just be both men at their best, and they were not trying in the slightest. Now, speaking of being at your best, have you considered Grand Canyon University? Now, some say that higher education is outdated or irrelevant. Well, not...
Never went to college. I think I'd taken a few college-level courses, but no, never went to college.
Not when it is purpose-driven education like at Grand Canyon University.
Chemistry, man, there was like a thermodynamics equation that was the most annoying thing to try and memorize ever.
Because GCU does not settle for...
Math in general hurts my brain, for what it's worth.
The status quo, they shatter it with academically rigorous, industry-driven programs built to move at the speed of relevance with practical skills, career readiness, and opportunities for every
Speed of relevance makes no sense. Just saying.
student, which is just so crazy. Imagine that in 2026. With some, his vibrant campus was ranked in the top 20 best college campuses in the country by Niche.com for 2026, recognized for excellence in both
And they're ethnically diverse.
academics and campus life. They are grounded in Christian truth, and GCU works to empower the next generation to lead with integrity, to serve with
All right, I
purpose,
just feel like there is a suspicious amount of ethnic diversity here.
and help transform their
To be fair, like it might depend where they're based.
communities and build a future that truly matters.
This is
so
in
take action
Utah.
and find your
Oh,
purpose
I guess
today
I
at
know.
GCU. It's private, it's Christian,
At least everyone would probably be tan.
it's affordable, it's non-profit. Do you have life insurance? Because if to learn more. Now, speaking of investing in your future or your child's future, do you
What's the hook here?
take action and find your purpose today at GCU? It's private, it's Christian, it's affordable, it's non-profit.
Right.
Visit gcu.edu to learn more. Now, speaking of investing in your future or your child's future, do you have life insurance? Because if not, you need to check that medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. Ethos connects you with a network of trusted carriers to ensure that you with life insurance through ethos.com/Brett. Application times may vary,
There you
rates
go.
may vary. That is ethos.com/Brett. All right, now jumping back in, we have to talk about this Piers Morgan interview. I want to show you these clips, and then we will talk about the internet's reaction and how I feel today about Russell Brand. But first of all, you have to see Russell stop Piers and ask to pray over him before the interview.
Performative be it like. I don't want to knock someone who feels like they're being sincere, but it does feel like this is all kind of a little bit pretentious.
Even starts. Just watch.
Let's come to this. Save your best lines.
Look, I know we're both English, but do you mind if I pray
Sure.
before?
Sure.
Oh God, help us have a. My fears are that I'll be somehow a disappointment to Piers, or that this will become not in your spirit. Let's be in your spirit, Lord. I pray for healing for Piers,
Stop! He's already dead.
for his hit, and for reconciliation and anything that's on his heart, Lord, that you would take it. For the authenticity, Lord, which I think might be funded in the most dubious way if we
I don't even have any words. Like, there has got to be
Caramba. I'm sorry. Maybe it's completely sincere. Just weird as I'll get out also.
some kind of psychological strategy here. But,
Cringe, as the children would say.
I mean, you're barely seconds in to this media appearance, and Russell is already, like, intentionally calling out Pierce. God, please heal Pierce. Pierce is like,
I might cut that part out. I want to try saying that at some point in a better way than I did, more organized.
what the fuck? Like, what? Wait, what are we doing here? His eyes are not.
She dropped the F-bomb. One of the reasons I actually like what I think I maybe watch more female characters is because they actually don't, most of the time, they don't actually cuss as much as the guys, I think, in general. I'd have to look that up sometime. I feel like there would be some sort of statistics on that most times women would probably cuss less than men.
Not even close. He's just trying to take it all in. Russell keeps praying. Then he talks about the entire Pierce operation, which he believes is like dubiously funded. Pierce again is like, what the heck are you even talking about? Like, he's intentionally calling out
What a delightful individual.
Pierce, getting under his skin. Like, if you wanted a sympathetic interview with Piers Morgan, some kind of softball interview as you were gearing up for a rape trial, a passive-aggressive prayer asking for healing for the other guy is not the way to go. Just saying. Anyway, all that being said,
Make him believe me because I'm absolutely right about everything.
you just have to know that Pierce's rage...
Sorry, that's not the right accent for that. Here's a question. Do English people, can they all kind of, to some extent, mimic each other's accents a little bit? Because I feel like they're all kind of packed in there. So you wonder if they would be more capable of that than maybe Americans would. Like, like geographically, all of those accents are kind of stuck in the same area. So they probably would have maybe grown up in tandem with one another.
Just amped up tenfold after that. But I do have to say, I'm really grateful for it because it did give us one of the greatest meme templates possibly of our entire generation. Like, there is just so much that we can do with this here. But guys, you are
He didn't have his eyes closed. Sacrilege.
in luck because it did not stop there. Throughout the interview, after this prayer, Pierce kept...
Sorry, not Russell Brand. Piers Morgan. Yeah, see, look. Eyes closed, like a good Christian head oughta. Eyes open, like some jaded, devil-worshipping, Holocaust-denying... I'm sorry.
the is here. But guys, you are in luck because it did not stop there. Throughout the interview, after this prayer, Piers kept pressing Russell as he does, and Russell just continued to get more and more agitated. And they were talking about everything from the trial, the accusations, faith, politics, all of the things. And the pièce de résistance was this moment when Piers asked Russell about bringing his Bible into his court hearings for obviously a rape trial, and asked him if there were any specific passages that he was reading in these moments. And again, this was generational meme fodder. Just watch.
Clouds without water, having the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
Can I go back?
I think that was in reference to false prophets or some crap, but, you know. I guess he hasn't made any prophecies yet.
Can I ask you a question about your Bible?
Yes, if you want to.
Thank you. Was that the one you took into court?
You're the very one.
Okay. What was your thinking of taking it into court? And what you were seeing, looking at some passages, what were the relevant passages for you?
All right.
Tell
Thank you
us.
for asking me.
Thank you. That didn't hurt, did it?
A little bit. It was this from Isaiah. You're right.
For the record, dang it. To be fair, I feel like Isaiah is not. Maybe there are people who like it a lot. I just find most of the minor prophets. Well, technically, I don't think he's actually a minor prophet. I find him to kind of be a slog. But maybe I'll get over that as I get older or something. I feel like there might be different books that different people enjoy throughout the course of their life. But Isaiah is kind of a chore in my mind.
It did say, be chill. Sometimes I lose the
Again, a lot of the minor prophets are kind of a chore.
chill, man. It's pretty. Is this?
That is the most awkward silence ever.
They don't like that, do they, in the old gallery? But remember, you just said it's a hired spot. This is from Isaiah.
There's almost a part of me that's thinking just because it's such an awkward whatever, it's either entirely true or entirely authentic. Because there's a weird dynamic where you could look at it and say, like, a liar would probably have prepared something. But also maybe he's just literally that's, like, lackadaisical about his... I don't know. I wonder if he has Donald Trump as... Just to be clear, I've never been a fan of cringe humor, so at some point this may become too much and I might skip ahead.
It says here.
Looks at camera. Nice. Theatrical. Very theatrical.
You're watching a deleted
Okay.
scene from Get Him to the Greek. Like, we all know that Russell Brand kind of always plays Russell Brand. Like, he was a character actor, the character was himself. This does seem like it could have been from one of his movies. And listen, there are a lot of serious things we're going to get into in this episode to talk about in regards to Russell, the accusations, his faith. But, like, if we could just take a moment, if we could just take a break to read some of these responses, because, again, generational meme fodder. Somebody replied and said, looking through the wine list, knowing full well that you are going to order the second cheapest one, but you're doing your due diligence, but you're letting the waiter know that you're considering, even if you're not. Somebody else said, trying to find the perfect meme reaction to use in the group chat. Another person said, straight women scrolling through Instagram to find a decent photo when you ask to see their crush. And then, of course, they're gonna, like, pull up their phone and be like, but he's way cuter in person. And then this was my personal favorite that I am embarrassed to admit I laughed at way too hard. This person replied and said, me flicking through the menu at an Indian restaurant, pretending to be open-minded when I know full well I'm going to order the chicken tikka masala. I mean, it...
Yeah. I don't know if I'm a fan of trying new foods always. Especially when it's something goofy. Sorry, I say goofy. When it's something I'm not acquainted with. When it's something bizarre. Yeah, I tend to... Although maybe I've been getting better at that recently. Yeah. Alright, in short, Russell Brand, possibly pervert. Possibly rapist. Allegedly, I guess. Am I supposed to say allegedly yet? Yeah, you can go watch the rest of this if you want to. And definitely funny. Definitely funny appearance on Piers Morgan. Yeah, go watch the rest if you want to. Russell Brand slept with a 16-year-old by Brett Cooper. All right, moving on.